Hello my fellow YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome to another ranking video from me, Mr. Tarlis11. So, today I'm going to be ranking a film series which has definitely had quite a lot of buzz recently. The Monster Universe, or the Monster Cinematic Universe, whatever you want to call it. Basically, this is a new cinematic universe, much like Marvel, where except it's about a series of monsters and not superheroes. There are currently 4 movies in this franchise. We have Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and now Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla vs. Kong is the latest one, which I just reviewed, although I have reviewed all of these movies. And yeah, I mean, you can check my review out for my thoughts, but it's now the 4th movie, and it's the crossover that people have been waiting for. So I thought to myself, you know what, now that there's 4 movies in this franchise, it makes sense to maybe rank them at this point. I mean, there are going to be more, obviously. I mean, you know, when there's money involved, you know, never say anything is cancelled. So, yeah, once again, this is just a subjective list. You don't have to agree, but if you disagree, please be polite down below in the comment section. Any hostility will not be tolerated, and you will be removed from the comments section. Thank you for listening to that. Okay, so after that disclaimer, we will now go to number 4 on the list. This list was very easy for me. Number 4, Godzilla 2014. I don't like this film. Yeah, I said it. I mean, people like this movie. That's fine. To each their own. But to me, Godzilla 2014 is one of the most boring movies I ever sat through in 2014. Look, it's a very technically well-made film, and Gareth Edwards is a good director, and he directed it well. The only choice I would have criticised with the movie, the main choice, which really affects it for me, is the fact that Godzilla is barely in it. Now, I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to build up to the reveal of Godzilla to emphasise the scale of this creature and how monstrous he really was. But, as a viewer, I can't deny the pace of this movie sucked. It was so slow, so boring. I fell asleep during this movie. I actually nearly fell asleep watching Godzilla 2014. Like I said, visually, aesthetically, very good, but the human characters were boring as well. I didn't really care too much about them, and I mean, Bryan Cranston was hardly in it as well, and the fact that we had to focus on Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen, I mean, okay, they're all right, but it's just a cliched family, you know, dynamic. It's a cliched family story. I don't care, you know, I don't give a shit. So, to be honest, Godzilla 2014, one of the most forgettable movies, probably one of the worst movies of 2014 for me. If people like it, that's fine. I respect your opinion, absolutely fine. And I can see the technical merits of it, but on a story basis and on the basis of how much Godzilla is used, I think it's a fail. But when Godzilla is on screen, it is pretty good, but his screen time amounts to about 10 minutes. So, yeah, it just annoyed me how much they would sort of show a glimpse of him and then cut to a news report. It happened too frequently for me. I just don't think that it was an experience worth it, to be honest. And I don't really feel like this universe really got off to a good start, to be honest. Okay, number 3, we have Kong Skull Island. Now, for me, Kong Skull Island is overrated. I'm not a big fan of this movie, to be honest. It just... Again, it was a bit boring. It wasn't as bad as Godzilla. I did find it slightly more entertaining. I mean, Tom Hiddleston is a good lead, and Kong himself is pretty cool. I did like the design of King Kong, and obviously the action spectacle is appreciated. But again, it focuses too much on the human characters, and there's some just really weird and pointless comedy in this film that really just didn't work for me. And I find myself not remembering that much about it. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but I just didn't really enjoy it. I just thought it was slow and boring, and it didn't really go anywhere, to be quite honest. I know obviously it was meant to set up for the new film, but yeah, other than the action spectacle, there wasn't much to enjoy. And I get it, these movies are made for the spectacle. They're not really made for the human characters or anyone else, but there does have to be some kind of story, and there has to be somebody, at least, in the cast who's likable. And is it weird to say that Tom Hiddleston, as good as he is, feels out of place in this movie? I kind of think his character doesn't really, like, fit. I don't know, maybe it's him. I don't know. There was just something off-kilter about it, but for fans of the series, I can imagine that they'd enjoy it. I mean, the jungle setting is kind of cool, obviously, and, you know, Skull Island looks okay. I mean, it doesn't look nearly as scary as the Peter Jackson version, but then you know, that's just my opinion. So yeah, for me, Kong Skull Island was a disappointment, but I did enjoy it more than Godzilla, so I'll give it that. Number 2, we have Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This movie isn't great, but it is better than the previous two. I gave this movie a pass. I thought, you know what, because they used Godzilla more, and because the spectacle was good, I'll give it a pass. Like I think it's fine to watch as a fun, mindless action romp. Once again, I don't give a crap about the human characters and some of their storylines. I feel like this movie was too long. It was like over 2 hours long. It didn't need to be this long. It should have been maybe 1 hour 45 or 1 hour 50. I think, to be honest, over like 2 hours 10 minutes, it was a bit ridiculous how long it was. But the spectacle is entertaining. It is better than the first Godzilla, and we get to actually see Godzilla in his full glory this time. So I guess for me, in that sense, I can give this movie a pass and say, yeah, it was acceptable enough. But I don't ever think that these movies are going to be more than that. I do believe that this is a series purely made just for mainstream audiences who love this sort of thing, and that's fine. I have nothing against that. But as a film viewer, like as someone who really likes to get into a film and analyze a film, there isn't much substance with it, and that's the thing that hurts it. But then I could say the same about the two movies I've already spoken about. I suppose Kyle Chandler's probably the best of the human cast, really. That's probably who I'd say. Okay, so number 1 is, of course, Godzilla vs. Kong. Yeah, the crossover that we'd all been waiting for. And did it deliver? Yeah. I say that with great reluctance, but yeah. Look, I've made it clear that I'm not a huge fan of this series, but I don't mind the series as a whole, and I have nothing against what it's trying to do. But to me, I was disinterested when, again, I keep going back to this, but the human characters, like I just feel like there were an overabundance of them this time, and once again, awkward comedy didn't really work. I think this movie's trying to feel a bit like a Marvel movie, like an MCU movie at points. I mean, the action is amazing. This is the best action of the series by far, simply because you have King Kong and Godzilla together on screen. I mean, it's every fanboy and fangirl's dream, and the spectacle does not disappoint. And the movie, I would say the movie did what it set out to do, but I just think whenever it focused on the human characters, it all kind of felt a bit muddled. Like there's too many people involved in this story, and some of them just really don't have a place to be here. Like especially the two teenage characters. I think, is it Millicent? No, Madison. I think her name's Madison, but I can't remember. And Josh, those two, I did not see the point of their characters. Even though I know Millie Bobby Brown was in Godzilla King of the Monsters, but she didn't really need to be in this movie. She didn't need to come back. I don't know why. Why was her friend in it, Josh? Why is he in it? He has no place in the story. And yeah, for me, there was just like I said, just a few tonal inconsistencies. I personally feel this movie should have gone for a more serious approach, which would have made the spectacle feel even grander for me, because then you would have felt there was a lot more at stake. Like the emotional stakes would have been raised. There are no stakes in this film, and that to me, it just came off as what it wanted to be, like a popcorn munching fun flick. But I didn't feel any sort of major sense of scale, because we'd seen these creatures before, and I just felt like they could have utilized an opportunity where we could have seen a bit more of a kind of sentimental, emotional side to the story. Although, that being said, there is that one element of the story where, I think Gia is her name, the little girl who has that relationship with Kong. That's really nice, and that's kind of sweet, the way she talks to him with sign language and tries to emotionally connect with him. That's as close to sentimentality as this movie gets. But the rest of it, it's just a fun romp. To me, it was kind of what I expected it to be. I didn't expect anything less or more. It's perfectly fine, and it's actually decent. I think it's easily the best of this franchise, but maybe you'll disagree. I don't know. Anyway, that's my ranking of the Monsterverse. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think of this series. And have you seen Godzilla, King of the Monsters? No, sorry. What I meant is, have you seen Godzilla vs. Kong? And what do you think of it? Please comment down below. Let me know. And stay tuned for more reviews and rankings to come very soon. So until then, I'm Mr. Tarnus11. See you soon. Bye for now.